Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari. Yashodanandana Brajaganarandana Yashodanandana Brajaganarandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Vandabhihari Radha Madhava Vandabhihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari. Yashodanandana Brajaganarandana Yashodanandana Brajaganarandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Vandabhihari Radha Madhava Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Gaura Pimanandi. Jai Vishupad Paramahamsa. Pri Vrajagacharya Stotra Satya Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Hirabai Charanarindra Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki, His Kandibiti, Founder Acharya of Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki, Samavata Bhakti Vrinda Ki, Harinam Sankirtan Ki, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki, Tiny Tagore Pimanande, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru, to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Sakaya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jita Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaisnavam Sya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Tadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanditam Sya Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostite Tapsakantana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutidevi Pranamami Hare Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyascha Vipa Sindhu Gaivasa Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Ram Chaivam Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Ito Jayam Udiraya. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, Supreme Human Being, unto Mother Saraswati, the Goddess of Learning, and unto Sridham Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayasha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naisiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamhitam Uttama-shloka Charitam Sakara Bhagavan Rishi. Nishreyasaya lokasya Dhanyam Swasyaya Namaha. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Saradhyaya Namaha Om Saradhyaya Namaha Om Saradhyaya Namaha Mukham karoti vachalam pangom langayate girim yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Bhagavatam class. So we continue from canto number 2, chapter 6, entitled Purusha Sukta Confirmed, and text 20, 31. Yes, 31. Narayane Bhagavati Tad Idam Vishwam Ahitam Grihita Mayoru Gunaha Garga Adao Agunaha Swataha Narayane Bhagavati Taridam Vishwam Ahitum Grihita Mayoru Gunaha Sarga Dava Guna Swataha Narayane Bhagavati Taridam Vishwam Ahitam Grihita Mayoru Gunaha Sarga Dava Guna Swataha Narayane Bhagavati Taridam Vishwam Ahitam Grihita Mayoru Gunaha Sarga guna swataha narayane bhagavati taridam vishvam ahitam narayane bhagavati taridam vishvam ahitam vihita mayuru gunaha sargadava gunasvataha narayane unto Narayana Bhagavati, the personality of Godhead, Tat idam, all these material manifestations, Vishwam, all the universes, Ahitam, situated, Grihita, having accepted, Maya, material energies, Uruganaha, greatly powerful, Sarga Adau, in creation, maintenance and destruction. Agunaha, without affinity for the for the material modes. Swataha, self-sufficiently. Translation and purport by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. All the material manifestations of the universes are therefore situated in these powerful material energies, which he accepts self-sufficiently, although he is eternally without affinity for the material modes. Kindly repeat after me. All the material manifestations of the universes are therefore situated in his powerful material energies, which he accepts self-sufficiently, although he is eternally without affinity for the material modes. Report. The question put by Narada before Brahma concerning the substance of the material creation is thus answered. Material actions and reactions, as the material scientist can superficially observe, are not basically ultimate truth in regard to creation, maintenance, and destruction. The material energy is the potency of the Lord, which is displayed in time, accepting the three qualities of goodness, passion, and ignorance in the forms of Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. The material energy thus works under the supreme spell of his lordship. Although he is always transcendental to all such material activities. A rich man constructs a house by spending his energy in the shape of resources. And similarly, he destroys a big house by his resources. Thus, the maintenance but the maintenance is always under his personal care. The Lord is the richest of the rich because he is always fully complete in 6 opulences. Therefore, he is not required to do anything personally, but everything in the material world is carried out by his wishes and direction. Therefore, the entire material manifestation is situated in Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The impersonal conception of the Supreme Truth is due to lack of knowledge only. And this fact is clearly explained by Brahmaji, who is supposed to be the creator of the universal affairs. Brahmaji is the highest authority in Vedic wisdom, and his assertion in this connection is therefore the supreme information. Translation again. All the material manifestations of the universes are therefore situated in his powerful material energies, which he accepts self-sufficiently, although he is eternally without affinity for the material modes. Yes. So the continuation of Lord Brahma's explanation to his son Narada about this cosmic manifestation that the material energy is at different times manifest. Material world sometimes manifests, sometimes unmanifest. It is eternally existing. This prakriti, material energy means prakriti, eternally existing. And it is very powerful and very mysterious, and works under very stringent laws. um, we call it laws of nature, isn't it? The laws of nature. If we contradict the laws of nature, we get a bad result. The laws of nature are actually very, very subtle, very subtle. Not so easy to know or to understand. Just like the what is called uh, the science of vastu. The science of vastu. Uh, we were discussing not too long ago how when we sleep at night or in the day, but mostly we should sleep at night. Our head should be in a particular direction, and it should we should avoid putting our head in the north direction, isn't it? Because part of the laws of nature is that there is magnetic field, and there is what is called the north, south, east, and west. The sun is rising, we are facing the east. And when we know where is east, then we know where the other cardinal points are. So our body is also having, head is considered to be like north. So just like if you have magnet, if you put the two positives together, they will, right, you have to put one side positive, one side negative, then they will click. So in a similar way, when we sleep at night, our head should not be in the north. A small example, but nature is full of these different laws that most people are not aware of. And of course, this is a very great science. The whole cosmic manifestation works under these different, what we call laws of nature. And the more we know these laws of nature, then the more we can live it peacefully in harmony. Uh, the more we know what to eat, when to eat. Just like the other day, someone, I think you, were serving at the same time milk and yogurt. Either you take milk or either you take yogurt, isn't it? Milk should not be taken at the same time as yogurt. So, so many things like in modern day society, people have many bodily diseases. People are become sick very easily because one of the main reasons because diet. People are not having proper diet. Of course, even somebody may have proper diet because the food is polluted. Then we may have the best diet, but if the food is not good, then we will also become diseased, isn't it? So there's so many laws of nature. Those laws of nature are all described actually in the Shastra. For example, one of the important laws of nature is that in the context of agriculture, growing food. Um, we should be growing food that is called, let's say, natural farming. Vedic farming means natural farming. And there are different sages who have written books. You know, sages don't only write about what's going on in Goloka. Sadhus are not supposed to know only what is going on in the spiritual world. They're also supposed to be what is called grounded. They're supposed to know what is going on in the material world and what are the laws of the material world. Just like here, Narada is asking this question. Very similar question that Parikshit Maharaj was also asking Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami, although he had been cursed to die within 7 days, in his discussion with Shukadeva Goswami, he is asking him about the material creation, which one may wonder why he wants to bother knowing about the material. He's going to die in a few days. Why bother about the material? But the Prabhupada explains that actually such a personality as Parikshit Maharaj, he he knows how to increase his appreciation for Krishna, for God, by knowing more, hearing more about his wonderful display of energy in this material world. So there are so many different departments of knowledge, different sciences that are actually there in the Shastra, and that are explaining what we call the workings of the material nature. So the more we know about these laws of nature, the more we are following and living in harmony with these, then we will be happy. This is mentioned also in the, of course, in the Bhagavad Gita. Everything is there in the Bhagavad Gita. In the 14th chapter, it mentions that we are living in what is called a city of 9 gates. We are living in this apartment, but we are individually, we are all, this body is also described as a city of 9 gates. 9? Gates, doors, gate. Yeah. So, in the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, this is nicely explained. Let me find that. Yeah. Whoops. Yeah, 14. So, Krishna explains here about, guess, where is it? That by cultivation of knowledge, by having proper knowledge, we can live happily in this city of 9 gates. Let me see here. Yes. Where is that verse? Uh, I think it's in the beginning here of the 14th chapter. Mm. Let's see here. Huh? 11th, eh? Yeah, correct. Yes. This is the verse, text 11. Thank you. Sarva dwareshu, dwareshu, like door, dwaraka. Uh, uh, yes. Sarva dwareshu dehesmin prakasha upajayate jnanam yada tada vidyad vivridham sattvam ityuta. The translation, the manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. Just like some people have uh, problem with hearing or problem with seeing, uh, or problem with different. So it means that uh, when we cultivate knowledge, when we know about these laws of material nature, then uh, this material body that we have can be kept in proper condition, in proper health. I'll just read the short purport given here by Prabhupada to text 11. There are 9 gates in the body: 2 eyes, ears, nostrils, mouth, genital, and the anus. In every gate, when the symptoms of goodness is illuminated, means when one is healthy. Uh, people, especially in old age, they start having more difficulties. Even nowadays, at a younger age also, uh, because people are not living properly, not eating properly, not working properly, isn't it? Not interacting properly. So in this way, these different parts of the body or gates of the body become negatively affected. So uh, when the symptom of goodness is illuminated, it should be understood that one has developed the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, one can see things in the right position, one can hear things in the right position, one can taste things in the right position, just like Prabhupada often gives that example. If someone has jaundice disease, did anyone ever get jaundice disease? Jaundice, yeah. I also got jaundice one time. Jaundice, you cannot, your ability to taste goes. You may take something very sweet, it will not taste sweet. Yes. So one becomes cleansed inside and outside when one is in the mode of goodness. In every gate, there is development of the symptoms of happiness, and that is the position of goodness. In this same chapter here, 14, Prabhupada also explains one who cultivates this knowledge of Krishna consciousness. What is this knowledge of Krishna consciousness? Means knowledge simultaneously of the spiritual world and knowledge of the material world. So by this proper cultivation of knowledge, Prabhupada explains, one can live very happily within this material world, knowing what is the primary goal or objection in life, and regulating the senses. Yes. So that is why in Vedic culture, in the Vedic culture, one is meant to learn these different fields of knowledge, different sciences that are given. Yes. And then at the end of the purport, Prabhupada explains how the impersonal conception of the supreme truth is due to lack of knowledge only. Isn't it? And this, of course, Prabhupada also mentions that this point is especially explained in this conversation between Lord Brahma and his son, Narada Muni, that I'm getting my knowledge, I'm getting my energy from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Yes. So we'll just continue here. Text number 32. Srijami tandiyukto ham haro harati tad vasaha vishvam purusha rupena paripati tri shakti drik. By his will, by the Lord's will, I create, Lord Shiva destroys, and he himself, in his eternal form as the personality of Godhead, maintains everything. He is a powerful controller of these three energies. So in the purport, Prabhupada explains, the conception of one without a second is clearly confirmed here. The one is Lord Vasudeva, and only by his different energies and expansions are different manifestations, both in the material and the spiritual worlds, maintained. In the material world also, Lord Vasudeva is everything, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. Yes. Everything is Vasudeva only. In the Vedic hymns, also the same Vasudeva is held to be the supreme. It is said in the Vedas, Vasudevat Param Brahman Na Sanyosto Sti Tatvataha. In fact, there is no greater truth than Vasudeva. And Lord Krishna affirms the same truth in the Bhagavad Gita 7:7. Mata parataram nanyat There is nothing above me, Lord Krishna. So the conception of oneness as overly stressed by the impersonalist is also accepted by the personalist devotee of the Lord. The difference, the difference between what is the difference between the personalist and the impersonalist? Main difference. What is the main difference? The main difference is that the personalists, Vaishnavas, they are personalists. Personalists means who believe in person. The personalists accept the impersonalist feature of God. The personalists accept the impersonalist feature, but the impersonalists don't accept the personalist feature. The personalists, the Vaishnavas, they know that God not only is a person, he's also having all of these energies. He's also impersonal through his energies. Whereas the impersonalists, they only accept that aspect and they are ignorant. They don't know or don't accept the personal feature. And Krishna, of course, explains that it is not so easy to accept or even to know about that personal feature of God. Bhakto sime sakaseti rahasyam, because it is very mysterious, very confidential. Yeah. So Prabhupada continues here in the purport. The difference is that the impersonalist denies the personality in the ultimate issue, whereas the devotee gives more importance to the personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam explains this truth in the verse under discussion. Lord Vasudeva is one without a second, but because he is all powerful, he can expand himself as well in display, as display his omnipotencies. He can expand himself as well as display his omnipotencies. The Lord is described here as omnipotent by three energies, Tri, Shakti, Drik. So similarly, his three energies are internal, marginal, and external. What are the names of the Lord's three energies? What are the names of the three Shaktis? Krishna, he is Shaktiman. Shaktiman means the source of all energy. Three main energies, what are they called? What is the jiva called? What category? Jiva is called Tatastha Shakti. Tatastha Shakti. What is the material called? Material energy? Bahir Anga Shakti. Bahir Anga Shakti. External. And internal energy. Antaranga Shakti. Antaranga Shakti. So Prabhupada is referring to these energies here. So primarily his three energies are internal, Antaranga Shakti, marginal, Tatastha Shakti, and external, Bahir Anga Shakti. This external energy is also displayed in the three modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Similarly, the internal potency is displayed in three spiritual modes. There are three material modes and three spiritual modes. What are the three spiritual modes? They're mentioned here. Samvit, Sandini, and Ladini. Ah. Samvit, Sandini, Ladini. The marginal potency or the living entities is also spiritual. Prakritim vidhi me param. Yes. Param means spiritual. Para, uh, para shakti. Para prakriti. Para prakriti. But the living entities are never equal to the Lord. The Lord is nirasta samya atishaya. In other words, no one is greater than or equal to the Supreme Lord. So the living entities, including even such great personalities as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, are all subordinate to the Lord. Ekale Ishvara Krishna are sub Vritya, part and parcel. In the material world also, in his eternal form of Vishnu, he maintains and controls all the affairs of the demigods, including Brahma and Shiva. Yes. Any thoughts or comments on this?
In this internal energy, we have some Shaktis and we have Shakti.
Yes.
These are considered as modes of these three modes.
They are referred to as spiritual modes. In the material world, there are material modes: goodness, passion, ignorance. In the spiritual world, they are referred to as spiritual modes. They are, they are spiritual. Ladini Shakti, for example, is the pleasure potency that gives happiness. That is especially exemplified by Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani is the pleasure potency of Krishna, Ladini Shakti. Isn't it? So there is, just like this is connected with Satchitananda concept. Satchitananda, eternal, Sat, Chit, full of knowledge, and Ananda, full of happiness. So these are the means that in the spiritual world there is that original variety. A perverted reflection of that variety is found in the material world, but the original variety, which is giving perfect happiness to the living entity, is to be found in the spiritual world. Yes, yes, yes. They are existing in the spiritual world. Whatever is existing in the spiritual world is completely devoid or disconnected with the modes of material nature. Modes of material nature are only for this material world. Yeah.
These modes are in only the material world. These are
in the material world, there are three modes of material nature. That is only in the material world. But here Prabhupada is using the same word mode, but calling it spiritual modes. This is what Prabhupada is telling here, no? That yes. Similarly, the internal potency, which is called internal potency, is this Daivi Prakriti. Krishna speaks about Daivi Prakriti. Mahatmana stumam partham Daivim Prakriti asritaha. Bhajanti ananya manaso. Those who take shelter of my Daivi Prakriti. There is Daivi Prakriti, the internal potency of the Lord. Then there is external or Mohini Prakriti, isn't it? So this Daivi Prakriti, this is Prabhupada is mentioning here, this the internal potency or Daivi Prakriti is displayed in three spiritual modes called Samvit, Sandini, and Ladini, which refer to the eternality, uh, knowledge, and pleasure, Satchitananda features that we find in the spiritual world.
You were explaining last shloka, you were saying regarding a natural farm.
Yes.
Like, when I see this, hear this about this text, the question comes like, this is okay regarding to this tract of land, especially tropical region or Indian tract of land. But when we see the other tract of land which is full of snow, or if we see some tract of land which is full of desert, there the farming is only a question. So how things would have existed in the Vedic times?
Okay, your question is that these different guidelines that are given in the Shastra are only for those tracts of land that that allow for growing. What about uh, tracts of land in countries where there's a lot of snow or in deserts?
And one more that in these tracts of land, the habitat of the people, is that the same which is followed everywhere, or it's something they have a different habitat so that the way of living things to maintain their body?
Well, uh, according to karma, people are born in different places. Um, so, like if you are born in the North Pole or in what is called northern regions where the Eskimos live, there is you cannot grow anything. So people are forced to eat meat, isn't it, to survive? They live in igloo, a house made of ice. How people live in igloo, I've never had that personal experience, but in the northern parts of Canada, they have Eskimos. They live in, they make their house by igloo. So, and their food is totally non-vegetarian. So the idea is that uh, these are not the ideal places to live. Actually, in Shastra, it mentions that one should live in places where naturally different types of fruit trees will grow. We were discussing a few days ago how historically majority of people have lived in more like tropical countries, Asian countries, where struggle of life is not so difficult because uh, the nature is the weather, for example, more conducive, and one more easily can grow food and therefore uh, have more time for what is the primary goal and purpose of life, which is spiritually evolve. So in the Vedic times, when these one would have to go back and study, but we hear from the description of the Bhagavatam, when Vedic culture is followed, then we don't have these kinds of severe differences that are there uh, in the weather, for example. It rains at everything becomes very regulated. It mentions in the Shastra that rains only come at nighttime. It doesn't rain in the day. This is a symptom of Kali Yuga, you know. Or it rains at all kinds of irregular times. Um, Now, for example, if we study the weather condition, I mean, people speak about climate change, uh, global warming. Of course, climate by nature changes. Climate changes every second of the day. Uh, but that climate, now people, they say uh, climate change that was is more severe in our modern times due to manipulation from humans. So many ways in which we are affecting nature, and therefore it is creating disturbance. So that is there actually. Uh, Bhagavatam explains that when Vedic culture was present, when there was a proper spiritual leadership, when there was knowledge of proper respect of Mother Nature, not exploiting, when there were regular jagyas being performed, then the material condition was very ideal, very favorable. And so it even mentions during the reign of Lord Ramachandra, people were very healthy, and there was no disease, no miseries. So it's directly connected with what we mentioned real earlier, that the more we know about these laws of nature, the more we follow. These are all connected with the laws and the principles of dharma. The more we are in line uh, with uh, these principles of dharma, then we will be living more in harmony with our own body and with nature itself. So these principles that are given in the Shastra regarding, for example, natural farming is especially for those uh, places where people are living more in harmony with nature. So in other words, uh, there is, it's not simply a question of applying uh, material knowledge. Material knowledge needs to be synchronized, needs to be performed in the context of spiritual knowledge. In other words, material activities are meant to be performed for a spiritual purpose, not just as people are doing in modern day times. So, uh, that's a whole science and a whole art, and that's especially the duty and responsibility of brahmanas. Brahmanas are meant to cultivate uh, both spiritual and material knowledge, and in this way, by teaching this knowledge, they are helping society, helping individuals to be uh, to synchronize, to harmonize with these different laws of nature. And the more we do that, then a world of that was prevalent during Satya Yuga. In Satya Yuga, what we call the Golden Age, then we everything was very harmonized, everything was very peaceful, and people were mainly, primarily focused on spiritual life. As it mentions in the Bhagavatam, how in Satya Yuga there is no need of Varnasrama because everyone is situated in the mode of goodness. There's no need of Kshatriyas. The Kshatriyas are meant to protect, but everyone is very advanced, so there's no one is in need of protection. So Varnasrama was introduced, although it's eternally existing, but is introduced when there is more, let's say, activity in terms of these modes of material nature. Yeah. So maybe one day, because the movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is meant to help introduce a golden age of Satya Yuga, as we know, a 10,000 year period. Maybe at the peak of that 10,000 year period, when everyone will be in the mode of goodness and beyond, if that situation occurs, then Varnasrama will not be needed. The Varnasrama is there to actually facilitate and help individuals come to that higher level of consciousness, isn't it? So if everyone is already situated on that higher level of consciousness, then Varnasrama is not needed. Unfortunately, sometimes some of our own devotees give that argument, well, we're all devotees, so we don't need Varnasrama. We're all devotees, yes, but we are devotees in practice, isn't it? We are not yet pure devotees. We are not on that level where we are totally disconnected with these modes of material nature. So, Shastra is there to give guidance uh, to individuals and to society to gradually come. Yeah. So that means that's why previously the vast, before America was discovered, majority of people were living in Europe or in Asian countries, isn't it? Yeah. And it is only when the Kshatriya kings became, let's say, godless, not godless, but were not following the principles, then Purusha, he properly explains, killed the Kshatriyas 21 times, and many of them, they fled from Asian countries to European countries and other countries. Yes, yes, yeah, that's, it'd be very interesting someone to make a research on that. But yes, that's how we can say that people who used to be more naturally living in countries or areas that were more conducive, both materially and spiritually, due to not following these principles of dharma. Therefore, yeah. Okay. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Sridham Prabhupada ki Jai Nitai Gaur Primanandi.
Jai.